I think this text today is like a gut blow. It is hard. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. Give to everyone who begs from you. Lend, expecting nothing in return. Do not judge. Do not condemn. Forgive. It's tempting to hear these words and to read these words as if they were Jesus' version of the Ten Commandments. It's as if Jesus is saying, I'm the new Moses. You thought those commandments were hard. These are impossible. So follow these. Pastor David Lowe says that's actually not the best way to hear these words. He says, don't hear them as a command or as rules, but hear it as an invitation into a whole new world, a whole new way of living. You see, when we see these as commands, our minds engage it. We say this is naive or impossible or idealistic or impractical. Don't go there. These are an invitation to a whole new world, a whole new life. A life that isn't focused on measuring and counting and weighing and competing and judging and paying back and hating and all the things that seem to be the norm in our culture. But instead, it is a world where it's first and foremost about love. Love for those who have loved you. Love for those who haven't loved you. Love for those who hate you. I think we could spend the entire season of Lent on this text, and maybe we'll do that next year. And so what I tried to do this week is I didn't want to get into the weeds and get into everything, because there's a number of sermons in every single phrase here. And hopefully you've heard some of them. But what I was looking for this week was a theme to pull out that I thought rest upon. A theme that holds it all together. Sounded like a good idea at the time. I struggled. It was a really hard task. There's that Portuguese proverb, which I love, God writes straight with crooked lines. It was a very circuitous path. And I stopped along the way at 3 different sermons, 3 different themes, 3 different titles. And as I look back, I realize the journey that the Spirit was leading me on is the journey I believe Jesus is leading all of us on. And so I'm going to touch all 3 of those sermons. I won't be here for an hour, I promise. Because I think these are the steps that we have to take to live into the promise. And there's a great promise here. To be willing to take the invitation and to go to the places that Jesus wants us to go. And I think these words, this is the main point. This is it. This is what he's talking about. This is the kingdom of God. This is the life that Jesus embodied. This is the life that we are called to live. So make no mistake about it. This is what mature discipleship looks like. But it is a journey for all of us. And so I began with a sermon called Give Till It Hurts. It hurts to give. It hurts every time, particularly in the beginning. Oh, it's like the last thing we want to do. Life is scary and we don't feel like we have enough. And then to think about giving on top of that is just, it's painful, right? Some of you live in that spot. I live in it. I understand. Some of you have been living in that spot and you don't know anything else. I get it. So I started with Give Till It Hurts. And then I went to Give Without Expectations, because it seems like that's the pivot point. That's leaving the old country and beginning to move into this new country, this new world that Jesus is talking about. Somehow learning to give without strings attached to our giving is a key piece in living into the mysteries that Jesus wants us to discover for ourselves. And so I lived there for a bit and I realized that's not it either. And I ended with Give Till It Feels Good. Give till it feels good. One of you shared that phrase with me recently. I love that. Give till it feels good. And then I realized the word give wasn't big enough. Of course, it happened after we went to print. And maybe it was because I did the funeral of a man who committed suicide, my peer, 46 years old. Maybe that's where it hit me. It's not about giving, it's about loving till it feels good. Loving all the brokenness till it feels good. So I want to walk through that journey with you because I think it's a journey we're all on. Love till it hurts. Sermon title number 1. No pain, no gain, right? You know the phrase. Maybe you've had a physical trainer in your life and push through the pain. You know, literally the muscles, those microfibers need to break in order for them to be rebuilt, and you build your body and you get stronger, right? No pain, no gain. It's true for our bodies. It's true to some extent for our soul, for our heart. There is wisdom here. Jesus says the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. It's hard to find that gate. It's hard to walk that path. No pain, no gain. It's no coincidence that Matthew, Mark, and Luke remind us that Jesus says, take up your cross and follow. Taking up the cross. We know Jesus' experience on the cross. This is hard stuff. This is painful work. We have to learn to give up our will, our agenda for something bigger. This is painful. We go there kicking and screaming. And God's will is the cross that we must take up. To do good till it hurts. To bless and pray for others until it hurts. To face ourselves honestly until it hurts. To love until it hurts. And Luke takes it even a step further. He's the one author of the Gospels who says, take up your cross daily. Daily. As if to say, it was hard today, it's going to be hard tomorrow. So take up your cross Monday. And by the way, Tuesday, it's the same thing. Take it up again. Every day, to start with that intention, I'm going to love till it hurts today. And believe me, you'll be given many opportunities. I'm a parent with teenagers. I am given an opportunity every day to love till it hurts. And so we must commit every day to the way of Jesus. We must put these teachings into practice. We have to commit again. We must sacrifice our agenda again and again and again for God's agenda. We must every day do the sacred, hard task of loving. And here's the promise that somehow that will lead us in time to life, to genuine, authentic, abundant life. But in the meantime, it's pretty hard. Sermon title number 1. Sermon title number 2, love without expectations. That's very countercultural. Anthony DeMello, who lived an incredible life, a wise teacher, Jesuit Indian priest. We have a program here in April led by a lot of his people, the followers of him who have kept his work alive, and I really highly recommend it. He says this, he writes, is it possible for a rose to say, I will give my fragrance to the good people who smell me, but I will withhold it from the bad? Or is it possible for the lamp to say, I will give my light to the good people in this room, but I will withhold it from the bad? Or is it possible for a tree to say, I will give my shade to the good people who rest under me, but I will withhold it from the bad? Isn't Jesus saying something similar here? Jesus is saying, is it possible to say, I will do good only to those who I deem worthy of my goodness, but I won't do good to those who I deem unworthy? Or is it possible to say, I will lend only to those who I am certain will pay me back, but I won't lend to those who won't? Or is it possible to say, I will extend my love to my friends, but I will withhold it from my enemies? Jesus is saying, no, it's not possible. You either love all people or you really don't love anyone. He's saying that you either do good to all people or you don't do good at all. You either extend mercy to everyone or you don't extend mercy to anyone. Maybe this is an overstatement, or maybe it's not. Maybe that's in fact what he's saying. That we cannot pick and choose who to love, who to do good to, who to extend mercy. And Jesus is saying that's how God loves. That's who God is. He says, be merciful as your Father is merciful. Be children of the Most High, who is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Or as Matthew says, who makes the sun rise on the evil and the good and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Jesus is saying, resist the temptation to measure and count and weigh all the outcomes before you give, but rather focus on the intention, the motivation, the spirit of your giving. Why? Because that's what God does. God doesn't decide, who am I going to invest my love in? I'm going to pick you, and you, and you, because I think the outcome will be good. That's not who God is. That's not how God loves. And Jesus believes that we actually have the capacity through the grace of God to love in a way that reflects the love of God. And the truth is, we don't control the outcome of our giving. We can't control it. But what we can control is our intentions. I would love to be able to change people, but I can't. But what I can do is be changed myself, to learn to be less attached to the outcome and more aligned with God's intentions. I think once we start to lean in this direction, a whole world begins to open up. And I don't think it begins to open up until we start to lean in this direction. This is the beginning of discovering the wisdom in the third sermon title, which is to love until it feels good. You see, when we love with strings, and we all love with strings in different ways. Here's the thing. The only thing that we are assured of is that giving will always be painful. Because we're constantly measuring and evaluating, counting, and are they going to receive this gift with appreciation? Are they going to reciprocate the gift? And we just live in this continual world of stress as we wait for people to appreciate us, and anger creeps in. And resentment creeps in, and it nips away at first and begins to overwhelm us and destroy the very spirit which Jesus wants us to give with. We all know this. If I were sitting and waiting for our teenage daughter to thank me for being the best father in the world, Daddy, you are so good. You're the best. It's not going to happen. So I have to make a choice every day. Am I going to love anyway or not? Love with strings undermines it all. And it diminishes the likelihood that we'll give in the future. And in the end, it cuts us off from the mercy of God, from the flow of God's love in our lives. It's like stepping out of the stream. But when we learn to love without strings, it begins to feel good because we're not wasting energy keeping score. And when we're not keeping score, there's nothing to get angry about and there's nothing to be resentful about because it has no power over us. It won't change anything. It doesn't matter if the person that we're loving has a clue that we're doing something good for them, because that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's what we're designed to do. It's what we're created to do. It's what God calls us and fuels us to do. And when we move in this direction, it begins to feel good because we touch upon the mysterious joy that Jesus wants us to claim, that we as people created in the image of God are most alive when our hearts are aligned with the heart of God. We claim our inheritance as children of the Most High, and we find the joy of discovering that which we are created to do. God created us in love, for love, and when we are loving, it all makes sense, even when it doesn't, because that's what it's about. And this expands our heart. This expands our soul. It increases the likelihood that we will not only give tomorrow, but long into the future, because we've touched upon the flow of grace. We're in it. And we realize we've discovered for ourselves the truth of Jesus' words. Give, and it will be given to you. The measure you give will be the measure you receive. Of course, because when you're in the flow, the giving and the receiving, it's all one. It's only when we step back and count and analyze that we get out of it. But when we're in it, it all makes sense. Some of you live like that, and you're inspiring. You get it. You understand. We can't ever get this here. It doesn't make sense in the quid pro quo world. It does not make sense. We are conditioned to give with strings. That's the norm. But Jesus is saying, you got it all wrong. Nothing new, nothing good, nothing transformative will happen to you if you hold on to those strings. But we have to discover that for ourselves. We got to go into that stream. One of the people who taught me this was a person, I don't know who it is to this day, who gave an anonymous gift towards some passion in my life. I was early on in my ministry. I was trained as a therapist and a pastor. I wasn't clear where things were headed, where I wanted to go. And I got really excited about spiritual formation. I realized, you know what? It's not enough to just get people together and do church. Let's grow, let's get healthier and mature. Let's be better husbands and parents. And so I got excited, and I found a training program that really I felt like was going to help me learn how to grow myself, but also to be able to help others grow. The problem was there was no money in the budget. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to put it out there. I'd like to do this program. And everyone's like counting, we don't have it in this fund. It was a pretty ugly, awkward moment. And then I found out the next day that, unbeknownst to me, someone decided to step up, that they were going to make a gift so that I could go to this program, but under one condition. They wanted it to be anonymous. So I never knew. I still don't know who that person is. I've actually preached sermons thanking that person, hoping maybe they'd come up and say it was me. No! Isn't that beautiful? I love that. That's, I think, the closest we get to God. God delights in giving anonymously, secretively, unselfconsciously. God delights in the fact that right now He is sustaining your breath and heartbeat, and you don't even know it. He delights in the fact that He's loving you through and through. Whether or not you get it, whether or not you're even grateful for it, it's not going to stop God's intentions one iota. God is crystal clear. I love these people. And when people give anonymously, they're as close to discovering the feel-goodness on the other side of the pain. I was speaking to somebody recently who said, that's why I give to the church, because I can give anonymously. I've been in ministry 20 years. I never thought about that. He said, I give to the church because then my name is not attached to the gift. The church's name is attached, and it is a witness not to my generosity, but to the generosity of God, and it is a witness to the world of this other world, this kingdom of God that we are called to bring forth into the world. And so when the church gives, it's a different kind of gift, because it is given in the name of Jesus Christ. And last year, you gave $140,000 in the name of Jesus. Not one of your names is attached to that gift. And the Tyler Clementi Foundation has been blessed by that. Camp Johnsonburg has been blessed by that. New City Kids has been blessed by that. New York City Relief and the Barn, which we just had a program retreat the other day, has been renovated because of you, your gifts. And years from now, no one will know of your generosity, but they will know of the generosity of the body of Christ in this time and place, the hands and feet and heart and mouthpiece of Jesus in this time and place. So yeah, no pain, no gain. It is hard to give. I live in that place all the time. I get the bills. Do I pay the electric? Do I pay the cable? It's hard to give. It's hard to make giving a priority. It's hard to say, you know what, in the limitedness of my resources, I want to give. I want to be a person who gives. It's hard to do that. And yet, Jesus is saying, keep going through that pain, give, but give without expectations. Stop trying to measure and count and calculate everything, and just give because it's the right thing to do. And through that, in time, maybe you'll get a glimpse of what I'm talking about. And maybe you'll realize that the call is to give until it feels good. The most inspiring people in this world, those of you who have the most infectious spirit, are those who have stumbled upon that wisdom and are putting it into practice every day. It's a tough sermon. And it's tougher because I got to practice what I preach. It's one of the things I love about this job. And I struggle with this, as I know many of us do. And yet, here's the thing. Jesus isn't calling us in this direction because he wants to destroy our lives. He's calling us in this direction because he wants to save us. God, who created me, who created you, understands what we're created for and is challenging us to claim our inheritance as children of the Most High, who love because nothing else in the end really makes any sense. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you that you love us enough to challenge us, to grow up, and to mature into the fullness of who we are created to be. Thank you for people who have anonymously given to our lives, and we thank you for people who we could never thank enough, because there is no limit to their love and their patience. And help us, Lord, to take a step in their direction, in that direction. Help us to get out of our heads and live into our hearts and into our souls and be people who taste and see for ourselves how good you are and how you have the best intentions, not only of us, but of the world at heart. So help us to say, not my small kingdom, not my little agenda, not my puny will be done, but yours. Amen.